Howdy there. This is Buffalo Rambler.
And I am Legs.
And this is False Reality Check. Thank you for listening. We have a great episode today, folks. We talked to a wonderful, wonderful person who sees the world in a very interesting way, a way that I like to look into the world at least a little bit, the human vibration.
Yeah. I remember first hearing her on Tinfoil Hat. And she gave her John Bonet thread.
Yes.
A rundown, and I was just blown away. I was like, what? I've never heard anyone contradict that story ever. And present facts.
I never thought of it the way that she thought of it.
Exactly. And present some interesting facts that she's found along the way. So it's good to always keep an open mind on things. You never know what's fake out there, what's real. What's real. And
if anything's real.
Yeah.
We kind of get into that a bit.
Yeah, and we get into celebrities. Like, are they even real?
It was interesting, and I had a great conversation. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, it's just one of those things. Keep an open mind always. It's so important because it makes things a lot funner.
Oh, yeah.
Is funner even a word?
Probably not. It is now. You made it. It's out there in the ether.
Oh, man.
But she was great, and we appreciate her coming on, and look forward to the next time she comes on, because there's another topic we wanted to dive into as well.
Definitely.
So we will definitely have to catch up with her.
And we'll put all her socials, of course, in the show notes.
Yes.
But she does have Real Eyes Radio.
Yeah, check that out.
Yeah, she has the first season up. I believe I saw it on Spotify.
It is on Spotify, and they have a Patreon, and I'll put that in the show notes.
Yes, Patreon
as well.
also. Yeah, her Patreon, I guess they do a lot more through there. It's more not intimate, but you get to know her her as an individual a little bit more.
Exactly. You connect with her and all the other hosts on the show.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. But anyways, human vibration, everyone.
So our next guest is a researcher, decoder, frequent podcast guest, and host of Real Eyes Radio. Taking on the form of a lovely and wise lady of light and truth, she is known only as the human vibration. She drops bombs of truth exploding through this illusionary matrix we like to call our false reality. Was John Bonet really a person? Do celebrities even exist, or are they carefully constructed fractal images meant to deliver a message? These, along with other deeper, probing questions, were asked as we take a dive into an ocean of thought and wonder as we vibed with our soul sister, the human vibration.
Buffalo and Legs.
That's it. I'm Buffalo.
Yeah.
No, I'm just kidding.
I would have pegged you for the legs if I didn't know any better.
I do my squats, you know. How you doing?
Oh, I guess we should. Are we recording?
Yeah,
we are.
Yeah, we're just rolling. We just
Never
go.
mind.
We're having a conversation. Yeah, because we do our intro after, so.
I'm usually just ready to roll, but this time I got my Zoom set up, and then I was like, "Oh, I'm not totally ready." So, you know how it goes.
Fantastic and ready.
Radiant.
Your energy. Every podcast I've heard you on, I love your energy.
Oh man.
Thanks, guys.
We have to talk to her. She's so cool.
Yeah.
I really like doing. I love talking about this stuff. I could talk about it forever. I could talk about it all day. Literally, you have to shut me up. Sometimes, as you guys have, I'll talk over anyone, through anyone. I'll just keep going. Yeah. So I really have to keep myself in check sometimes.
It's all good. It's all good.
No, keep going. Yeah. If you get off on a tangent, that's kind of what we hope for, because we just want to hear it. So
cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
So we know you recently had a get together in Buckner Park.
How
was it successful?
That's amazing. Yes. So that was in June or July. It was this summer. Okay. And it was just a really casual meetup. I'm in Dallas, so I kind of floated it to people local to me, the DFW area, the Metroplex, as we call it. I had about, I think, like 16, 17 people total. It was like small but intimate, and we sat outside and the sun was setting and we just chatted for a good 2 hours, like from 6:30 till 8:30, and all of a sudden the sun was gone and we were like, I guess it's time to end, I guess. This was great. And then a smaller group, we just walked to this place down the street and had some dinner, and then everyone parted ways. And a couple of people came in from Austin. I had some podcast friends. Kara from Let's Be Friends, she was there. She was representing. Just had, it was a really cool, it was a really cool mix of people that have like just been introduced to me, kind of newer. And then there was some people that had been following me since January of 2020, when I started when I started sharing my ideas in this way. Really when I had my awakening and had to share these ideas, because I didn't know what to do. I was like, these can't stay in my head. They have to come out of my head. For sure. Yeah. So it was to meet, that was my first time meeting human vibration peeps in real life, IRL. I keep up with a lot of people. I'm sorry, my dog's walking loudly in the background. No, I keep up with quite a few people. I correspond with quite a few people through my various social medias and email, and but that's all digital at the end of the day. I mean, it's real, it's significant, it's meaningful, but it's digital, and there's something that is lost. I think it has to be when you're not in actual proximity to another human being, radiating with them, feeling their energy, vibing. It was kind of like, I call it the vibe tribe, but that's what it is. And I think our vibe does attract our tribe in a way that when we are on a certain level, you naturally find people that are on a similar level to you. And that goes both ways. I know people that suffered from or suffering from drug addiction, and they can just walk into any room, take a scan of the room, and point out anyone who's doing drugs and what they're doing. I'm blind to that, essentially. I mean, I don't have that type of vision, but there are people that can read energy of human beings, so like a book, like a they can play it like an instrument in their head and hear it. It's kind of interesting. So I do think we vibe and connect with people. Like if you're vibing high, you're just going to be interacting naturally with higher vibing people. They're going to find you. You're going to find them. You will feel it. It's strange. Yeah. I've noticed that in my IRL life, as I've been living more as human vibration, essentially, like moving more authentically into this expression of myself where I share my ideas openly and, don't think too much about it other than this is a cool thought exploration that I have found interest in, and I have found it to be interesting. Let me share it. So that, I think there's something really, I don't know, it's like what in real life, I do feel like we are sharing energy. If you are living more true in your real life, your energy will be better. Your energy will be higher. Your vibe will be higher. Your total human vibration will be a more positive register or positive note. If you were to listen to the orchestra of humanity, some people are vibing high, some people are vibing low, and some people are vibing discordantly with themselves or discordantly with the people around them. Yeah. And I think we all know what that means. There are some people where you are just like, I don't like no matter what, like they say hello and you're like, oh my God, could you not please with all of that nonsense? No, it's like no matter what they do or what they say, you're going to get you're going to have a friction with them. And sometimes that happens in the workplace. Sometimes that happens in our personal lives. Sometimes that happens with our families, friends, whatever. But I think we can kind of like notice that. And sometimes it's time to do like a house cleaning. I know you can't like totally shoo your family away, but sometimes there's friends that are always extraordinary drags on you and you put a lot of energy and effort into them. If that's a pattern, then maybe it's time to like pull back on that friendship, if not cut that friendship off altogether. I talk about loosh quite a bit as human vibration. That's something that I always like focus on and try to dance around it in a lot of different ways. But ultimately, at the end of the day, I think everything I talk about is about our energy, our precious resource. our literal jewel, which is a jewel is a unit of energy. So our crown jewel, our most special, precious energy is our total vibration. It's our energy output. And it's like, it could be good and positive and like, I think it can be good or toxic, positive or toxic, because there's certain energies that we let into our body, certain loose energies that are just like anxiety, fear. I think like jealousy is a big one, always comparing yourself to other people, or, Instagram breeds jealousy. I think that's why Instagram, and not even a jealousy that you're actively doing, like a passive jealousy, like, oh, I wish I had that. It's not like you're like, ooh, I'm obsessed with this person, but it's like on a very casual, even ads, you're like, oh, wish I had that. Like, you're jealous of the person in the ad. Like, they're just a model. Oh, yeah. They don't have anything, it's like, what? But I don't know. This kind of goes into the whole media fakery and like being painted a world and us buying into it. And this whole thing revolves around us buying in to the whole thing. Yeah. Anyway.
So yeah, it seems like everyone is definitely vibrating on a certain frequency. A lot of people that are lost in this whole COVID drama, they seem to be on a way different frequency than what you're on, than what I'm on, he's on. It's just a weird thing, but I think energy is real. Our energy is real, whether, I don't know if it comes from the soul. What do you think? Does it come from our soul? Are we just a part of this grand consciousness of light? And we're each a part of that.
I'm not so tied to our corpse as the definition of
course, yeah,
of who I am or what you are or what we are. I think there's something greater.
Yes.
And it's not our physical corporal bodies, because at the end of the day, our bodies are batteries. We are biological machinery. Did you know, like, the majority of our bones are in our feet? Like, if you, isn't that incredible? Like, you would never think that, but like the actual machinery of the human body is so incredibly specific. We're like the most technology, and just because we're made out of flesh and bone doesn't mean that's not technology. That's not like a bio-organic computational. Our brains are if you define everything that makes a computer, the logic center, the motherboard, random access memory, a solid state hard drive, inner wiring, like all of those things like are actually representing what our brain, what they tell us our brain is and does. And it's kind of interesting. So what the soul, your question was about the soul.
Yeah. Consciousness.
And I think there's something extraordinary to the concept of the soul, which I believe is separate from our physical body here, our physical representation of self here in this realm.
Yeah.
Soul, that's so fascinating. There was like that movie 21 Grams that I just heard about it recently again. It's an older movie, but apparently when you die, there are some studies that back this up, but science, science, okay, never mind. So trust is as far you can throw.
The religion of science.
Yeah, the science is exactly, it is a religion. It's a cult. It's a cult. Oh God. Fauci. Oh God. Fauci is like fake energy.
Oh man.
They think they're so clever. I mean, that does go back to the whole COVID thing. He's at the helm. He's preaching all this. His voice sounds like he's gargling gravel, asphalt. So there's something so ingratiating about his voice. I think that's by design. I think he's a character. I think it's everything about Fauci is meant to just be nails on a chalkboard for this subset of the population and be like on a pedestal, a hero, godlike figure for this subset of the population. Exactly. And then for like an intermixing of like the bad, gets really dark, for like the real conspiracy people that are like super duper, but at the end of the day, like, I think, all that's true. All those pictures have been painted as true, but he's a character. So all these things for us to find is just us losing ourselves down the rabbit hole that's already been created for us until we go, this guy ain't real. He's not real. He's just a mouthpiece, a digital mouthpiece, a character-based mouthpiece, just to like, it's a clown show. It's a comedy. I feel like I'm watching a comedy. When I see CNN with all those faces and all that purple, oh my God. And it's just, and now their headlines are getting more and more comical and farcical, and the things that they're saying, they're like just piling on, and all these tragedies are just looking so fake. And
has it always been this way? Are we just?
I have to say, I never saw it before. It never looked fake to me before. But now when I look back, it's like as if I have totally new eyeballs.
Same.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm like, no way. I surprise myself all the time. I'm like, you got to be kidding me. Like, you got to be kidding me. Like, they did it. This one too. It's like, I should, at this point, I should expect it. I really, really, really should. But sometimes I'm like, look at what they did. Oh my gosh. And then I'm like, oh yeah, purple. Yeah. It's like, I don't know. It's getting weirder. It's getting more cartoonish.
Mm-hmm.
The fear, but like, there's so many people that are just so bought in. I hear it all day long. I still work in a professional, like my day job is in the creative industry, but it's still like a semi-professional workspace. And there's all these different, there's clients and I'm in my own little zone. I don't wear a mask in or out or anywhere in there. But people do, and they're talking about the vax like all day long. I listen to these people across the hall talk about the vaccine and COVID and the deaths and what, the mayor here was saying and what this Fauci was saying. And there's like, they took up about 4 hours of time.
Jesus.
I'm not over it. And it's not even new. They do it all the time. I hear it all the time. It's almost like if NPC does exist, like a non-player character in this realm, these guys across the hall are NPCs, because for the past, 9 months, I have been listening to absolutely nothing but this on a loop. It gets inserted and revised and whatever, but like all their chatter is COVID. It's like, guys, get a new topic.
They're obsessed.
I've noticed that too. People are obsessed.
Yeah.
People are obsessed with
frequency.
They want all the boosters. They want to be safe. And they want to protect themselves. I think at a certain point, your brain won't even let you go there. You have like bought in so hardcore. You've got the vax. You've stayed home you went through the lockdown, you got some home from work, then you got the vax, then you got the double vax, then you got whatever. Now things are opening up. Now you're feeling safer. You wore a mask throughout. Like, if they were to be presented with undeniable evidence that COVID-19 is not a deadly global pandemic, even if you did believe it has a reported 99.997% survival rate. Even if you believe everything the news says, why would you be scared? You have a 99.97% chance of being completely cool. Like, what's going on? Like, we've got like people that are certain age groups have like 40% chances of dying of heart failure because they have hypertension and whatever. It's like, oh my God, we have so many subcategories of people that are like minutes from death because of other ailments. Why are we focusing on COVID-19? And I also I think COVID-19 has provided this weird cover blanket for all these other deaths. Like, where'd the flu go? Flu just flew away. It's gone, And I feel like all pneumonia and cold and flu season, all of that is just getting wrapped up. Any sort of bronchial, any sort of this kind of system thing, they've just blanketed with COVID, which never existed before. And now it's taking place of everything. What? That doesn't, in what world does that really make sense? But but because they lead with fear, you can just tell people whatever. You can tell people literally whatever you want to tell them. It doesn't even have to make sense.
Yeah. I think they don't want it to make sense, because if it does make sense, it's almost like some people don't want to be happy, like they're confronted with truthful things, honest things that they can verify for themselves. And it's almost like they just don't want to be happy. And I kind of agree with your point, where it's almost like their brain doesn't let them go there. Why is that? Is that a biological thing? Is that from the vaccine? Or is that just all...
It could be.
You guys seen Westworld?
Component.
Have y'all seen Westworld?
Westworld?
On Westworld,
Oh,
they
yeah,
have
yeah.
this notion, you know, that when the hosts from inside the Westworld park that have never had any experience outside their realm, when they're presented with something that would fracture their mind, like if they're presented with a modern day picture, something that would really make them question their very existence, their brain has this function, this override function, where it will erase it. It'll just erase it, where the hosts literally cannot see what's right in front of their faces. And they say, I think the line is, that doesn't look like anything to me, you know, and you hear that throughout, you know, Bernard says that, Dolores says that. It's kind of a hint all throughout, like, and then you're wondering if someone's a actual host. And then it's like, they say that, then you know they are. And it's like, there's something about that. I think there's a protective, our brain does a lot of interesting stuff. Our brain does a lot of corrective machinery. If you believe biooptical mechanical believe how our eyeballs work.
Yeah.
You know, we actually listen to me. We take in the scene, and then they tell us that our eyes and brain do this delicate dance where it flips it around and then flips it back up again. What's the purpose of that?
Yeah.
Is that even true? Sounds like it's not true, because it sounds like we just see what does that mean? It literally is everything upside down, and we live in an upside down world. What does that mean? We need to get to the bottom of it. I think that our bicameral system, our bicameral mind with our binocular system, it actually creates the ability for us to kind of buy into illusion, like depth and shadow is like the forerunner. We're getting kind of a little too into the deception of it all, but I think our brain does a lot of things protectively for us to correct, to fix, to erase. And so when people are, and I think they kind of fracture our mind. You said something earlier that reminded me of when, you know, what our parents' generations, when they were taught about the nuclear war, they were taught to hide under their desks. Remember, they had to do all these drills where they got under their desks and like put their, you know, their heads over, you know, under their arms, and they you know, held on for dear life. Yeah. Well, I mean, at the same breath, they're taught that if we were attacked by a nuclear weapon, it would be absolute complete annihilation of every living thing. But that's what we're taught. And so it's like, why would you sit on your desk? Like, what's the point? But I think that but nobody ever questions that. Nobody's ever like, this wouldn't do a thing. Like, why do we do this? I think that we are forced and groomed and conditioned and kind of siloed into these behaviors and these rituals to kind of like, in education systems, to kind of like create that fracturing. Like, on one hand, they tell us that a nuclear weapon would annihilate everything. But on the other hand, they tell us all you have to do is protect yourself by putting your, you know, going under your desk and putting your arms over your head. Like, that doesn't make any sense, but people buy into it. And when they do, I think that it does something to the brain.
Yeah.
Like, it allows us to buy into silly shit. We get programmed to like buy into. And that goes back to, has it always been this bad? Yeah, it's silly. But we just couldn't see, because we were constantly given this silliness and told it was reality. Yeah. And so we were like, okay, sounds good.
Yeah.
This false reality that we're living in. Yeah, everything is kind of a deception. I mean, I was listening to an episode. I can't remember what episode it was or what podcast you were on, but you were talking about imposter syndrome. And I just thought about that in like work, and how, yeah, I'm a totally different person when I'm at work. I feel like I can't be myself. I have to hide certain things from people because I don't want to be criticized. I don't want to get fired, you know? And a lot of us are living our lives that way, unfortunately. And I'm trying to change it, trying not to give a shit anymore about what people think and how they can retaliate against me for what I say. If you don't like it, then you don't like it. I don't have to talk to you anymore. Simple as that. I don't need you.
Yeah, it's a bully. There's a lot of emotional bullying with this. Like we are so scared to face that retribution that we know will come. We know what they'll say. We know they'll call us certain things. We'll call us crazy, all those things and then, yeah, I have been very successful getting along in an industry that requires me to kind of be pretend all the time, because I have to play like certain roles within this process. And some of these roles, I'm this energy and personality to this clientele, my clients, and then to my team, I'm this, and then to my vendors, I'm this. And it's just like, it's kind of interesting. It's kind of an, and then that's, none of that is me. None of that is me. It's, cause I don't share any of this with, but when, I do, there's all sorts of things that are outside of like the conspiracy realm. I'll tell anyone who listens that we operate in an illusionary system, and politics is just puppetry. Like I'll say that. I don't go into it. I don't say, no, literally it's puppetry. Like there's CGI and it's digital, I don't go into it. I just kind of give this like really high level and they can think they can think whatever, like, but I like to say, I'm apolitical. Like, I think politics is theater, I'll say that. And people know what I mean. They don't know what I mean, but they can kind of get the idea that I'm above politics. Because I didn't vote in 2020. That was my first year going, this doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It's all scripted. It's all mapped out. My vote doesn't matter. Individual voting really does not matter. It's just to get our willing. By us voting, we're saying we believe it. Like we're just consenting. We believe it. Like my vote matters. It's like, it doesn't matter. The fact that you want to go vote, it is what matters, because that means you buy into the system. They don't care. They give a number at the end. Like nothing really matters. But I don't know. I think, it goes back to what you said earlier. You said, Buffalo, you said everything in this life kind of is an illusion. Like it's kind of woven into little everything. It's kind of a deception. I think you said deception. Yeah, which is true.
No, yeah. You don't want to say everything is fake, because not everything is fake. Love is real.
There's so much that's real.
Yeah, love is real.
Well, I think we're afraid of like real things, like moments where there's not a screen playing or a distraction to keep us from ourselves and our personal thoughts. Like moments that I share with her where it's just us talking, or, I'm holding her hand and there's nothing happening. But those are the moments that define everything. Those are the moments that make us the humans that we are, So I don't know. I think people are taught not to appreciate those moments. And I think that's the problem. We live in a culture that doesn't appreciate love and quiet moments. It's weird. It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. I couldn't agree more. I'm really bad with quiet moments because I always talk through them, but I couldn't agree more. And finding stillness is the secret, is the key. Yeah. And they call it the present because it really is a gift. Like, that sounds so corny, but when you focus your appreciation, gratitude, leading with gratitude. When you focus your appreciation and your attention on something that's happening this present moment, instead of being lost in maybe a conversation that you're going to have, or a conversation that you did have, or like thinking, just agonizing over something this way, or agonizing, being in the past or present, it's like, I'm sorry, being past or future, but being in the present moment, that is kind of rare. We don't take the time to do that. It's so rare. Yeah. And I think I love that Legs brought it back to that, because when you really want to affect change in your life, and that only happens by purposeful action in a present moment. Like if you're not doing, like, if you want to get to changing something, like get to doing things that will facilitate that change action. But then that the appreciation of like being in stillness, and that's for our mind. But like there's something about like leading, like a gratitude, appreciating yourself, like not getting lost in the past or future, like what is to be or what has been, but just like looking at your cards that are literally right in front of you. If you're playing poker, like, what do you have to play right now? And making the absolute best decision with that, even if it's a shit hand, being like, well, these twos are they're gonna bluff my way to big time. Although I don't know. That kind of brings up gambling, and I think that's bad juju. So probably a bad metaphor. Speaking of energy.
Sometimes it's fun if you're not trying to, win. You're just trying to have fun.
I don't gamble.
Entertainment. Yeah. I think everything pursued with a joyous heart can be positive. And I think everything that's toxic for us, it is toxic in the dose, like there's certain things that are good for us in some doses, but horrific for us in other, like Tylenol. Like it's not necessarily the thing, it's the dosage. And so I think everything done, pursued with a joyous spirit, I think is good. Yeah.
So is it mostly about intent then? Do you think that this like weird realm we live in, and that comes true for like manifesting things, but as long as you have a positive intent, the positive will be the outcome?
I do think that the universe is a blind judge, and it returns to us with zero judgment what we brought to it.
Okay. I like that.
It doesn't care. It doesn't care at all. But if you're trafficking in stress, fear, and anxiety, that's what will return to you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. If you're dealing, I think that, yeah. And I mean, my life, many circumstances of my life, which seem totally unrelated to my personal inner state of being, I would say improved, blossomed, had changed, altered in ways that were positive and unexpected as my internal state changed in a positive way. And I started living, making all these decisions, this waterfall, this domino of decisions that has led me to really everything that defines a person. All of my statuses, those have all changed since I woke up in 2020. Like that was really the beginning of a very important process for me that I am still very much in. I'm still figuring so many things out in my life of how I want to continue to express this, but definitely got me over the major hurdles that I was like, how am I going to do this? But I did. And leading with purposeful action and intent, to bring it back to what you were asking, intent is everything. I do think intent is everything. And I think gratitude is a cheat code.
Yeah.
Gratitude is a cheat code. That's a good one. I like that one. I'm going to steal that.
Oh, yeah, share it away. Yeah. I'm sure I stole it from something. I can't be the first person that said that.
Yeah, intention is definitely everything, a huge driver. I was going to say something. I forgot my point.
Uh-oh.
Sorry. Go ahead.
It's okay. I've noticed that you do a lot of pointing out of like templates, because there's a lot of templates out there of people that
it's ramping
celebrities
up.
follow.
A lot of people are seeing it now. I see it everywhere now.
Weird.
Yeah. People are sending me templates all the time, and I'm like, oh, this is so great.
How'd you start noticing them?
Yeah, because now we can't help to not notice it.
I've always been really good at pattern recognition. Facial pattern recognition is just one of them, but I'm in the creative visual arts, and I have like a knack for symmetry and spatial awareness when it comes to the 3D realm, but also like 2D realm on a digital screen. But there's something about the faces specifically where I could just see it. I could, like, in an instant. And I'm pretty good with knowing the identification of like who the other person is too. I guess I was kind of obsessed with celebrities for a long time. And, before I woke up, I was really into celebrities, but not just current celebrities. I would say like, even back to, your old Hollywood legends, not just the, Marilyn Monroe days, but, even before that, even going back to like Charlie Chaplin or Buster Keaton and like really old Hollywood.
I'm a Lucille Ball fan.
Oh, she was incredible. And the whole Lucille Ball with the colorization, her hair going from black and white to ravishing red and Technicolor. That was a really incredible transition, and an important transition in our society, and how we took in color through our screens. And we were told this is that and this is that.
The interplay between color coming out and kind of the full-fledged assault of the human psyche, if you think about it, right?
And light is information and color is light. They're feeding us information. But back to the templates, I'm so sorry. I always go on these tangents, but I usually get back to it. So on the templates, I really had this like Rolodex in my head, and I kept being like, this looks like that person. This looks like that person. And I had this little thing on my phone, this little collage maker that I could just bring them in, 2 pictures in. And I would just I just started doing that. I can't remember when I even posted the first one. I can't remember when I first said templates, but I've been doing, that was something that was an early thing that I was just like commenting. Hey, this person looks like, well, I started with just commenting. I would just say, hey, this person looks like this person. But then I was like, okay, this isn't going to get me very far. Nobody can see it. Nobody can see it in their head like I can. I gotta really give some evidence. And then I would do the side by sides. And that's when it started getting legs. And then I came up with the idea of templates because I had really gotten away from the notion that this was a genealogical phenomenon of like everyone being related, bloodlines, clones, DNA. I started to see this as more of like a character, like a manipulation on screen, like whether it's old Hollywood magic, like some of these characters I don't even necessarily believe exist. Some of our greatest stars, I don't think, like Tom Cruise, this whole deep fake Tom Cruise, I don't think Tom Cruise has ever existed in a real way. I think he's always been played by base actors who have a Tom Cruise overlay, and that's kind of the gag. I think that's always been the gag. And Mission Impossible, he's always ripping off his face mask. That's the gag. Like they're getting it off on us because we don't get it. But like that's the whole thing. They've always been telling us this is how it's done through, advanced silicone makeup and masks for these in-person appearances, or just digital, fuckery. I don't know if you cuss on the show, but digital fuckery when it comes to anything that we see on screen. And we get everything on screen. We don't see our celebrities in real life. And we really never did. They were always controlled by the Hollywood machine, Hollywood system. Like the royal family, I think the royal family has always been characters played in the public by actors playing a role. And just like they teach us in The Crown, at every phase and stage of life, they get introduced into a new actor who plays that character. And so it does look different. It looks a little different because it's a new generation, the next generation. And they teach us that with The Crown. Like every new season, there's a new person playing that role.
That's true.
That's kind of what I knew. So, there's just, okay. So templates to wrap up template. I mean, it's fascinating. We're seeing it everywhere. So I think that in order to keep these stars on some sort of pedestal, I think there's multiple actors that play these characters. And I think that those real base actors are also celebrities, but lesser celebrities, like B-list or C-list celebrities, but our AA+ list celebrities, I think sometimes are untouchable. The untouchables, I think, are potentially just characters. But I do believe in Hollywood because I work in video production. I've been into Los Angeles film studios. Like I do understand that there is an entire real machine of real individuals working on all levels throughout the film industry. However, celebrities are notorious for never shooting their actual scenes with anybody. That's called coverage. All the scenes get shot with a stand-in from behind. Like unless it's straight on, they don't have to have anybody around. Oh, sorry, I just knocked my microphone. It's like all really high level celebrities sometimes don't ever interact with their co-stars ever. And that's normalized. That's normal. And it's always like, oh, they're too busy. We'll just get coverage. And then we'll get the other scenes with Tom Cruise later. Don't you worry about that. You'll do all the scenes with his body double, and then they do coverage, but there's no coverage because they just overlaid the Tom Cruise. Anyway,
So do you
I'm
think
getting-
it's just like a CGI or like a mask that they put over?
Oh, I think it's all of it. And I want to shout out to Rambo. Rambo, he's at Seek the Truth 101 on
yeah. We're following him on Twitter.
So good on Twitter.
Yeah.
Rambo, I want you, if you guys haven't had him on, he is the one to talk to about this stuff, about this, the special effects, Hollywood, from everything from the intricate silicone masking systems, like you can literally get inside fingernails and all teeth. You like Mrs. Doubtfire style, where it's like a total, they taught us that it's basically Mrs. Doubtfire all over again.
Revelation of the method.
Oh my God. And that whole like sequence where he's trying on all the different versions of Mrs. Doubtfire before he chooses like the right Mrs. Doubtfire, like that shows the range of manipulation that can be achieved through just makeup and teeth and silicone, full on silicone masks and all this. And Rambo gets into this other concept that, you know how we're shown how these special effects, the Hollywood actors spend like 10 hours in the makeup chair every day.
Oh yeah.
No, they don't. They maybe do that once so they can get filmed doing it. I don't even think they are in this. I don't even think it's them, you know, but and then the rest, I think it's all just like to make us think that real people are doing these things when a lot of it's technology, if not all of it's technology. It's kind of crazy.
Interesting.
Yeah. Most movies nowadays are green screen.
It's all in front of a green screen.
Yeah. That's very normal. Yeah. And we really can't tell. It looks great. I mean, it looks great. I mean, there's some you're like, okay, that's definitely green screen. Like I'm watching Ted Lasso on it's like Apple TV or something like that. But so many of the scenes you can tell it's all green screen. Still looks good. It's very expensive work. But it's just like, you know, none of this is real. It's kind of.
Are there any Hollywood movie stars that you think are completely just fake, non-existent?
Okay, let's see. Oprah, number one.
Really?
I'm there with you on Oprah. I 100% agree.
Yeah. I mean, her background falls apart like a $3 watch. If you actually look into it.
Yeah.
And then this is a pattern. I also notice patterns within these stories. In the early life story, there's always this trauma baked in where it explains away and seemingly like a verifiably non-existent childhood. They don't have any, they moved around a lot because the parents were poor. And so no school records, you know, nobody knew them in school. It's like, oh, they kept to themselves. You'll see that in every bio. They kept to themselves. They were a loner. Tom Hanks's early bio basically says he never was seen on campus because he spent all of his time in an empty movie theater. His entire college career, he spent in an empty movie theater. What? Like, and that explains why nobody remembers going to college with him. Oh, well, you wouldn't have, because he was in that theater.
No freaking ticket taker or usher came out and said, "Oh yeah, I was seeing him every single day."
Tom Hanks, most famous, most famous person to ever go to this school, pretty much. Yeah, he used to just sit there like a lone. Yeah, nobody said that. Kind of interesting. That's an interesting tidbit. So Tom Hanks, I think, is not a real person. I think he came out of absolutely nowhere and became and this is what stars do. Stars are formed out of nowhere. Like the definition of a star, like our real stars, not our celebrities, our lower celebrities, but our stars, our Marilyn Monroe's, our Tom Hanks is one of them. Let's say Tom Cruise. I think these are stars. Oprah, definitely a star. Stars are made from nothing. They are made from nothing. They shine extraordinarily brightly. They dazzle and make and wonder. They arrest us in a state of dazzlement and wonder, and then they burn out in a fiery crash.
Yeah.
A fiery collapse when the star collapses.
James Dean.
Yes, he was a huge. It's so loose. It goes back to the loosh pull. These idols always seem to just. And it's music, it's sports, it's Hollywood, and that's all the same. The music, sports, and Hollywood. I think it's all the same. Politics, it's all the same.
Yeah,
it's all the same.
Yeah.
It's all entertainment.
Politics is like theater for like nerdy people, who really like to watch the news a lot.
Politics?
Yes. Or it's like people love to hate watch it. You know, people love to hate watch CNN or Fox News. Like if you're a liberal and you put on Fox News, you'll just like,
You're like, can you believe they did
can you believe this? You know, or if you're a Republican and you have the, you know, you accidentally have CNN on, you're like, I can't believe this, you know,
Trump wouldn't have done this.
You know, whereas, you know, and I hate to say, whatever, like I'm so in the, like, I don't think when I hear it, I'm like, okay, why is it that this side is given this particular polar opposite? It's always, you know, this one gets this one, 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 and they're always divided. And so I like to just dive into like, what about this topic? Like, what are the most divisive elements of this topic? And like, what are they feeding? What are they doing? Why are they so loosey? And then like, what could it be hiding? You know, what could it be hiding from the center, from like the bliss point or the null point, the center of the storm, which they tell us the eye of the hurricane, a center of the storm is silent, stillness, back to your stillness. Boom. The importance of stillness, the most powerful position.
Yes.
The eye of the storm is the most still.
Yeah. Sometimes the best action is no action.
Yeah.
Sometimes that's the best.
Only movie. I butchered that. The only. I was trying to take a sip of water too at the same time, so maybe that was too much. I can't chew gum.
Be careful. Be careful.
Chew gum a lot. But there's, I can't remember where it's from. I think it's from some war game. I think it's from a movie called War Games, but it says the only winning move is not to play.
Yes.
Yeah.
No, that's 100%. That's a great movie too. I like that. We just saw that not too long ago.
Oh, cool. Kurt Russell, is he in that movie? No.
Matthew Broderick.
Matthew Broderick. Okay, that's right. Yep.
Yeah. Too bad nuclear weapons are fake.
Yeah. I don't think they're real.
They are. I don't think they're really there. Those are, I don't think they're really there. I think they're cartoons. I think they're Lucy cartoons. And it's like the whole idea that we are one button press away from global annihilation.
Right.
That's just a way to keep us imprisoned by fear. Just keep us, we're so worried about other countries. We're so worried about nuclear armament. We're so worried about weapons of mass destruction.
Yeah.
None of that was real. Like we know that now, and they've even told us like it wasn't real. We always knew it wasn't real, or they always knew it wasn't real. But now they're just like, yeah, it wasn't real. We didn't have any. We didn't find any. You know, the evidence was the evidence was bad, poor evidence, or whatever. It's like, y'all, no, this is just a hoax, a fabrication. It always has been. It always will be, until they just starts telling the truth. Maybe they will. You know, maybe they will.
They are secretly telling us the truth.
Yeah.
I think you're right. I think there's a big.
I think they are.
I think that the person in charge, whatever's in charge, the Wizard of Oz behind the curtain, you know, I think that it's definitely trying to communicate to us, like giving us signs. And it does make everything kind of comical now. Like I don't get zapped by the headlines anymore. Like I don't go, oh no, more deaths in Dallas from COVID. Oh, no, you know, like I've never felt that, but everyone around me does. Everyone around me is getting zapped, like zoop, 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 by local news, national news. We've got a lot of transplants from Louisiana, so we're interacting with a lot of people that are, you know, like sharing that. You know, it's like we're aware of like hardship is around, you know, and we experienced in Dallas like this really weird storm where all of our power was out. So we have a lot of sympathy for the people that have lost their power, because it was awful. Like, you know, I think they're manipulating. They're trying to manipulate our consciousness of what we think about power. And so we're even more reliant on, they're going to be like, oh, we'll fix it. You know, it was bad, but we'll fix it. And it's really just, we'll be like, yes, please fix it. When in general, like they just are using our yes, please fix it to do what they always wanted to do. They just needed to squeeze us so that we would buy in. I think a lot of this stuff is like I don't even think Ida was, I think the power outage is the worst part. It's not the damage from the storm. It's the power outage. And I think that was planned and controlled.
Oh yeah.
I think so.
I think so. I think it was planned and controlled in Dallas, the power outage.
Oh yeah, that one. Yeah.
It didn't make sense. It stayed on in downtown. It stayed on in uptown where all the nicest businesses were. Stayed on in the nicest neighborhood. You got to be kidding me. Like, come on. I don't know. It just didn't, it seemed very planned and calculated and coordinated. It didn't seem like we had an inoperable, inept grid. It seemed like we actually had a pretty well working grid where they could just turn off certain sections and keep on certain sections and tell us something else. And we're like, oh no, we have to get a new energy grid right now and pay, taxpayer funded. It's like, oh God, y'all. I don't know. There's something going on with how we are, weather is, we talk about weather manipulation. Mm-hmm. I'm not so interested in if weather is being manipulated on that end, but I do know weather is used to manipulate us. We are very manipulated by weather because
I would say that. I mean,
it drives our every action.
If it's too hot outside, I'm not going to go work outside.
We're not going to go outside.
Yeah.
We can
you can go anywhere.
We can be hurted. We can be mentally imprisoned. We can be physically imprisoned, like whether or not it's forcefully done. All of our behavior, our human behavior, even our migration behavior is weather-based, is what, so it does manipulate us. I just like to think about the other side of the coin when it comes to like all the things that are in this realm, conspiracy theories.
No, of course. You got to look at both sides. No, that's interesting. I mean, you think of animals and birds, they migrate. Weather due to seasonal changes. So they're manipulated in a way, but is that something that they've always done? That's just something they've always done, is migration. Well, as far as we know, it's what the science says.
That's what the science says. I think it's kind of interesting. There's more and more coming out about how birds, it's like, how do they do that? How do they know what to do? Well, but they have like an internal radar. They have an internal magnetic, like there's a magnetic energy grid that goes basically in the sky. It's like a Skynet, essentially, a magnetic grid. And it's kind of like they've got the GPS coordinates just in the grid, and they just ride the magnetic grid to it's like almost like a magnetic railway that that's how they migrate. I don't know. I think and that's a poor, I'm trying to use like our human experience examples as like how to explain this thing that is totally untethered to humanity. But I think it is kind of like a highway up there that like they use like a magnetic pull car, just to get where you're going. And that's why it's so perfect all the time. Always.
Maybe at one point our civilization was connected to that magnetic Skynet, if that's what you want to call it. I think that was true. I think that's true.
I think we were far more advanced in the past than what they tell us. And I think a lot of what we know as history was just made up because it's easier for them to just control us that way. It's they're like, oh yeah, no, these World's Fairs were in a previous, civilization. We built these out of paper mache in 2 years.
Hundreds and hundreds.
The World Fairs are fascinating. All the technology that was purportedly casually introduced, all the buildings and structures that were purportedly built just for these casual World Fairs. I mean, they were called World Fairs, but there was a lot of them all over the world. Like what?
They traveled to major cities. And
all over the world.
All these things were like 300, 400 acre sites,
It was like a city. It was like a city.
These beautiful, you look at the Chicago one and it looks like Rome. These beautiful buildings, and it's like,
it makes me think, like, did that even really happen? I mean, do we still have buildings from the World Fairs? That's my way stupid question.
There's a couple, like in New York, there's a couple. In Chicago, there's like one remaining building from their alleged World's Fair.
Interesting.
But I've never been to Chicago to see it. So
why would they get rid of like these why would these amazing structures being used not utilized? That's the most mind-boggling thing. They would be like, okay, all done. Let's destroy it.
Exactly. Let's build all these buildings and
how long would that take? How long would that take in the 1800s, 1850s, 1860s, 1870s when they were starting to go around? 1900s. A long effing time.
Yeah. It would be ridiculous. I mean, there's people that like you would show, craftsmen now that would like put all this kind of stuff together that build like big train stations we have now. You could show it to them and they would be like, nah, I think we couldn't do it in 10. We couldn't do it in 10 years.
We can't even do it in a million years. Like we can't build buildings like we used to. We literally can't, even with all of the technology, all of the architectural advancements and technological advancements, machinery advancements. We can't do any of those buildings that we did in the 1400s, 1200s, 1700s. And what I think is really interesting is how all of a sudden in the 1850s, we start back at Lincoln logs with log cabins.
Yeah.
Like what?
What the hell is that about?
We could build world fairs, but we like when did I don't know. Very strange.
Yeah.
Very strange.
We build Roman Colosseums, but we'd rather live in tar paper shacks.
Yeah.
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 And
it's just so interesting.
The arguments made that, oh, people were more sophisticated then and they took their time with building and mastering their craft. And I'm like, I don't know. We have a lot of technology today, and driving down the 5 freeway is just terrible because it's just falling apart. And I agree. Like, I see these beautiful buildings and I'm like, there's no way we did that.
No,
I don't think
we
did that.
We can't put a nice freeway together that lasts.
I do kind of think this place was built not that long ago, like in the 1850s is kind of like when I think 1800s, sometime in the 1800s is when I think of the first generation of our gen of humanity, like our turn, our loop, where we showed up and our ancestors showed up. And I think it's not that long ago. And we just kind of showed up in this place and it was all built. And then like, there's like one generation, like actually the first generation, if you go back to like when they first started naming generations, the first one's called the lost generation because they literally just showed up.
Yeah.
Out of nowhere. Like what?
Yeah.
So I kind of think that was Gen 1. Maybe they were robots. I don't know. But I think like, maybe they were real. Maybe they were like the only souls. Maybe like those were the first souls, and then everything's been kind of divided. But maybe there's also like non-soul hosts in the park. I do feel like this is kind of like a Westworld style that we showed up in. All the wonders of the world were already here. All the greatest art was already here for us to come and find and discover, and then spend our whole life trying to recreate it and through human endeavors. And we'll never recreate it. We'll just spend our life toiling in recreation instead of doing like unique stuff, like real, like creating like we always kind of get like, I think you talked about whether or not we could be advanced. Legs, you mentioned like maybe we were more advanced in the past. Totally. I think that maybe if we weren't so filled with BS from cradle to grave, our education system is designed to render not education. It's like it's insane what we get taught with dinosaurs and space from day one. I think that if we were not filled with such nonsense all the time, all day, every day, and we were not worrying about bullshit all the time, that we could be so much more advanced. Our brain, they say we only use 10% of our brain. I think that's totally false. I think that they have filled our 90% of our brain with bullshit, that we only have 10% even left over to do anything with. I think that's what they mean by that.
That is true.
That's so true. They could be telling us right away, like,
they're always telling us the truth. It's just us. It's like, 10%, huh? Okay.
Huh.
Yeah.
Wish I could use more, but I guess I can't. It's like, I don't know. I mean, we got to question these things. That's my favorite thing to do, is just ask questions. And sometimes it pisses people off. Sometimes it hurts some feelings. Sometimes it breaks a few minds. But I think in general, I'm not trying to do any of those things. I'm just trying to figure it out for myself. And I share it very publicly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Isn't it weird that when you do that, people take it almost like you're trying to wreck their world?
Yeah.
And they wonder, and then they lash out. They become defensive at you. I mean, I haven't really seen it on your Twitter, but I see it on other people's Twitter who have similar ideas, and they share, and people just go nuts. They go ape shit at people if you think differently.
Yeah. Like at work, like I said, I have to be 2 different people, because I've tried to talk about these subjects to some of my close friends at work, and they just don't want to hear it. They get on the defensive.
What do they say? Oh yeah, defensive.
They get on the defensive, and they're always like, "Oh, they'll figure it out. The government will figure it out eventually.
They'll save us. They'll save us."
Yeah, and I'm just like, no, we got to save ourselves. We can't depend on some freaking mafia organization to save us. It's crazy.
Yeah. It is crazy. You know, I think that's the savior. Like everything's set up to be, we need an outside savior. Like,
Exactly.
Yes.
This
Messiah complex.
that,
yes.
and we're living this life of scarcity,
Yeah.
the model of scarcity, you know, how
Mm.
this is why we're always fighting each other. This is why we're putting gas in plastic bags or fighting over toilet paper in the store.
Yeah,
Like,
seriously. Yeah.
but that's not true. If you live a life of abundance and know that there really is a lot of enough resources for everyone here.
Yeah.
This place is
Plenty.
this place is so big. Like,
This place is so rich and ripe, and we are taught the opposite. We're taught that there is scarcity on every level, when the God's honest truth is there is excess to the max. Like, we're just, if we could all just live in the understanding that there's enough for everyone, the level of greed and like over, like hoarding, excessiveness, you know, I think it, why does anybody need $1 billion? Why does any one person need $1 billion? It does not make sense to me. Let's make that, why does anybody need $2 billion? You can have your 1 billion. You can have that. But if you get to 2, this is when it applies. Nobody should have $2 billion, and you should have to give away that other billion, and you should have to spread it around. Like, in what world? But I also think billionaires are kind of a psyop, you know?
I agree with you.
I mean, money's
think they
fake.
are. Yeah, money's
Money's fake for sure. Keeps us running. And are you guys into crypto?
Yeah, I own that. Yeah, we own.
Oh, today.
How do you feel about it?
Well, I shouldn't have looked on Saturday and then to look today, because that was a real rude awakening. Dang, what a slip.
We don't own a ton, but yeah, we have.
Well, I mean, I don't own a ton either, but still, it's like I'm kind of like casual about it. But like I was like, oh, I guess it's doing, because I don't really look at it all the time. But I was like, oh, I guess it's doing good. I'm up a little bit. And then I was like, oh, it went way down. Oh no, that's not good. So yeah, I don't know. I mean, I do see, you know, there's some people that are putting their entire life safe. I'm familiar with people that have bought into it in a way that is like, it's the second coming. Whether or not any of it's real or fake, we do go through currency shifts. You know, you could invest in it and make a lot of financial gain, you know, if we do continue to shift towards this. You know, if you got in early, just like stocks and bonds, if you get in early, or not really necessarily bonds, but bonds, if you invest in an early, with a high capital at an early date, your return on investment is going to be skyrocketed to somebody who didn't get it in at all or got in later. And so I think that, you know, that happens with all sorts of monetary experiences. So why not crypto? That doesn't mean any of it's real.
Yeah.
But we can play within it and experience quote unquote real and measurable gains.
Yeah.
Oh, it's a touchy one. It's a touch, you know, because I know money is real. If I don't pay my rent, I'm getting kicked out.
Yeah.
You gotta go, human vibration. Get out of here with your nonsense. You know, that I'm gonna be out in a minute, you know. So I know it's real, but it's also not real.
It's real because they want it to be real, because it's the system they build. And I agree with you with the crypto thing. I you know, we have some, but I'm cautious. I'm cautious with even like gold and silver and stuff like that, or real estate. Just because it's your money, you're responsible. If you lose it, you're responsible. So you have to really pay attention.
And you're at the whim and whimsy of the world, which
exactly.
is
We're at the whim and whimsy of the world. You know, talking about money being fake, it really is. If we live the way that we were supposed to live, which is like kind of more in line with nature, more in line with our community and all that, then money really wouldn't matter, because we'd all help each other out. And I get, you know, have you ever seen the show Vikings? You ever watched that show?
I haven't, but I do like what Viking lore teaches us.
Yeah, so it's a great show.
I think you'd like it.
It's pretty good. They say it's historically accurate, but who knows? You know,
what does that even mean?
Yeah, what does that even, exactly? It's not like there's Vikings alive today, so we don't know.
Historically accurate.
But the series ends where they, you know, don't want to like give it all away, but they end up in a new place, and there's people that live there, and part of the people that live there is there's gold lying around in rivers and stuff. and they don't think it's a big deal. It's like it's a gift from the earth, you know, it's not a big deal. But to the people coming from Europe, you know, things kind of clash because to them, gold is something. Gold is money. And in this new world, money doesn't mean anything. So, so I think if we live more in line to that kind of lifestyle,
but hey, that reminds me of the gold rush of the 1840s or something, whatever it was in the United States, because that was the reason, like gold was just everywhere. And that was the reason to entice people to come from the East, all the way from the East to the West. Like there was nobody there. There was nobody, like, again, it was like, we just show up and start gobbling up all this gold, like out of nowhere. And we're told it's important. Maybe gold is worthless too. Maybe everything is worthless. You know, what's interesting, gold and silver, we herald gold and then kind of, I'm glad silver is getting its heyday now, because silver is so much more truly workable and valuable than gold. You know, it's energetically extraordinary.
Like spiritually too, right?
Spiritually. Yeah. I think gold's a psyop. I love gold. I do. I have like my dad's gold necklace, and I just like the way gold looks on my skin. So I just like gold. But I do know that there's a concept spiritually where if I'm wearing a gold chain, how am I supposed to ascend? How am I supposed to raise my overall experience? If you were to measure every ounce of me, including my core and everything that's within me, am I literally weighing myself down in chains? You know, I think about that sometimes. And just the idea, if you are wearing a gold chain, you believe that it's valuable, like you bought into the money, it kind of shows that you're doing this thing. And it's like, oh, these symbolic things, they might be bigger. I don't know. It's like, so sometimes I go through times where I take off all my jewelry, to take off all these things that I think that I need to make me a certain thing, like all the accoutrement or whatever. I'll just really try to pare down, and I'll feel like, does this make me feel different energetically? You know, and then I'm like, put the jewelry back on, you know. don't get so into it.
Who am I kidding?
Who am I kidding? I can vibrate higher
good in that necklace, girl. No.
Yeah. No, that's true. I mean, also too, it kind of depends on your like we talked about in the beginning, your intent behind it to begin with, right?
Oh, yes.
Like you don't place I think even for the thing that you were talking about with your necklace, like you like the way gold looks on your skin, but the first thing you mentioned was it's your dad's. You didn't mention the gold. So is it really the gold, or is it
it's a really meaningful, but he was a gold guy too. And so it's like, and he made it, he got the gold chain and the gold thing. And it's actually a Pegasus. Pegasus is my spirit animal.
Oh, nice.
Oh, I
gold Pegasus.
I love it.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
It's very cool. And I live in Dallas, and there's a Pegasus symbol of the Mobil Oil building. And I hadn't lived in Dallas ever, but he worked for Mobil Oil. And so he had the Pegasus. And so when I moved to Dallas, everyone was like, after when I started wearing this necklace, because he passed away, and this is one of the items that was most meaningful to me, and I wear it every day. I try to, or not when I'm like making a statement, taking it off, but and I think there's something about Pegasus, like an ascending as well, the horse with wings. Like I think that there's something. And I have another Pegasus right here. It really is like my spirit animal. Like, see, here's another.
Oh wow, nice. I like that one.
Yeah, this is a bookend.
Oh man.
Yeah.
How did the Pegasus become your spirit animal? Would you like to share?
Well, I think because I always saw my dad wearing this, he got it in the 70s. And so my whole life, he's worn this Pegasus necklace, and I've always admired it. And it's always been like a meaningful symbol within there's Pegasus all over, because he worked for Mobil. And so like the necklace the symbols were all over, like in little, just he would wear, like, there's lots of mobile things all around, but also like the story of the Pegasus is within, like, I think it's like within Dante's the seven, or no, not Dante, but Dante does the Rings of Hell, but there's someone else that does the Rings of Heaven, and the Pegasus is like important for getting up the ladder from, like, one of the last rungs, from ascending into the highest level of, like, ascension, and you have to like take the Pegasus up to it's like you have to like go up with a horse with wings. So it's like symbolically, it's spiritually very important with the process of ascension, and I'm all about the process of ascension. And to wear a golden Pegasus is kind of like, I feel like it's kind of uniquely tailored to what I'm trying to do as well. And then I've got an upside down horseshoe, which I see it as like an upside down bull's horn.
Oh,
okay. And I'm an ox. I am an ox sign, and I was born in an ox year. 2021 is an ox year, so I'm an ox in an ox year. And I think that there's something really like something strange going on with like the ox symbology. I think that there's something really meaningful. And I'm gonna do, like, my new thing is gonna be ox. So watch out.
Awesome.
Watch out. I'm gonna do some ox stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. I was wondering if you had any other revelations that you've been working on, or because I know you got the purples.
I'll jump into the ox real quick. Like ox, the idea of the bull, like, it's in everything. This word is like baked into everything. I was thinking about religion, and even like the word Bible, it's like buy bullshit. It's like buy this bullshit, Bible.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Bible.
Yeah.
And then I was like, damn, bull is everywhere. And like ox is everywhere. Oxygen. Oxygen is a hallucinogenic.
Yeah.
Oxygen. What if oxygen is holding this entire reality together? And it's like a joke. Oxygen, like it's another bull thing. Oh, and like the crescent moon is really important, and the crescent moon represents like an ox. Like there's like many religions and flags that incorporate a crescent moon into, and they don't do full moons. They only do crescent. They don't do half moons either. They only do crescent moons. And the crescent moon, I feel like, is like a bull's horns. And if you ever look at it like that, it really is. It really. There's this, the famous bullfights in Spain. I saw this poster for one, and they used the crescent moon in the logo as bull's horns. And I was like, hey, that's what I see too, kind of interesting.
Okay.
Yeah. And so I think there's something with, like oxidation is like the deteriorative process.
Mm-hmm.
What else? There's so many that I've like, Kabul shit, like everything that's coming out of Kabul.
Yeah.
I kind of think that that's another little wink. I think that there's something about bull, and I want us to start like being cognizant of it.
Interesting.
And I'm going to start threading it, because I'm doing a poor job at representing it right now, but it's really been on my consciousness. And even like power lines look like bulls. Like with the, with like the big, the big ones. Yeah. The transformer power line, the transformer lines. Yeah. They are shaped with like bull's horns, and they look like bulls. And I think that's significant. I think there's a lot of like bull imagery that we, and even like the female anatomy, our fallopian tubes look like bull's horns.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. And in the whole thing looks like a bull's head, and then the horns going up like that. Yeah. What else?
Everything's like
and then box, like okay. The word cash comes from Italian casa, which means box, ox, even the word box means prison, and the word box has ox in it. And box is like a cube. It's like Mecca, and then ox. And then box is like slang for female anatomy.
Yeah.
Ox. The bull's horns back to it.
Better get on
There's
that.
Something.
Better start.
You heard it here, folks. You heard it here. I don't think I've ever shared anything about. I really don't. But it's been cooking, and that's what I do. Like, I let things cook before I go full force. Before I feel like, okay, I've got it. I got to put it all together. I got to share it. I just kind of let it like bounce around, because I don't even know what's what. I just kind of like collect things, and I'll start seeing it everywhere. And I'm like, okay, I've got something. Yeah.
Yeah. Like all the John Bonet stuff that you released.
Oh yeah.
What brought you to that revelation? Like, was that
God. I mean, I had been studying her forever. Like, I was just fascinated with that case, but from the other side, thinking it was like a ritualistic satanic murder, or thinking like the brother did it, or thinking it was just something horrific, or like there was an intruder, the Santa Claus came and whatever. Like I was down so many different rabbit holes, every rabbit hole, really, everything that you could imagine. I had found all sorts of sites that backed me up on that.
For sure.
One thing that I had never questioned was the validity of the entire thing. Like I just never questioned the thing itself. I'd never thought to do that.
Yeah.
And I think I mentioned before, like I work a lot in visual graphics, and some of it's like 3D space. And part of that is like rendering in 3D space and seeing like the mapping process and the rendering process. And you kind of see how it goes. Like you can even see how visual photorealistic things are. I do a lot of like photorealistic mock-ups. And so like I kind of get used to seeing things in this way. And also I was aware at this time of this idea this person does not exist.com. It's an interesting website where if you go there, this person does not exist.com, you're going to see a face and you'll press refresh. You'll see another face. You press refresh, another face. Every single face is digital. It's digitally created. There's not a real person that is that person. It's an amalgamation of millions, billions of images, all from all over all of our social medias. Every time we've ever uploaded anything, we've fed the beast. And it has taken all of these images and it puts together an amalgamation of a human face. Sometimes it's really good, but the more you train and if you didn't know, you would never even suspect they weren't real faces. But but once you know, you start to see it. It starts to look almost like horrifically cartoonish. You can totally see it's not real. Yeah. So my brain had been trained on that site. Like I'd seen that maybe in the month prior, and I hadn't really looked at the John Manet case in a while. But in January, it was like, it was new. I don't know. It was new, after New Year's, I had kind of just like, I wanted to get back into the case. I wanted to get back into the John Manet Ramsey case. It had fascinated me. It always fascinated me. And so I really dove back in, but I was still very much on like the conspiracy side. Just really thinking was even connected to like Hollywood celebrity. This is when I was also believing in like Epstein and Pedogate and Pizzagate and all this stuff. And I thought I had this whole new angle, whole new layer to the John Manet case. Really thought I did. But then there was just this fracturing, this break in my mind after I had like taken a break from like looking at all of her stuff, like cooled down a little bit from thinking it was like an Epstein, Ghislaine Maxwell, kidnapping or whatever. Yeah. I looked at her initial photos again, and I just like saw for the first time her very first image ever shown. I saw it like with new eyes, and I was like, that is not a real girl. That's one of those faces from that site. Holy shit. Like I just had this break of an epiphany, but it didn't like rock me. It just set in like a perfect little key, like a keyhole. Like it just came right at the right time, right when my brain was ready for it. Just locked right in, like slipped right through the keyhole and just clicked right into place, and everything made sense. And from that moment, like I relooked at the case, I relooked at every piece of information that I'd gathered in my research, and I looked at it differently. I looked at it with I was like, what if she doesn't exist? Let me re-examine everything. And everything fell apart upon logistical scrutiny. And I was like, well, let me look at that. This is what they say. Let me look into it. This is what they say. Let me look into it. This is what they say. Let me look into it. That's how I found how the pageants weren't real. Yeah. None of the pageants actually existed. The pageants, which were like such a huge part of the John Manet story, because she was a pageant girl. That was the blinding element. We talk about the stars, the blinding flash of light. And I think that was the pageant photos. It was all meant to like make us see her as this tragic victim, and also point to the parents as being these weird, overbearing sexualization of her child daughter, whatever. Like it kind of created this whole tableau for us to latch onto. None of it was real. It was all made up, but it made it feel more real and robust. The tapestry felt more robust with the pageantry. It wasn't real. Everything I looked at, every element. And then, once you see her face as not being real, you start to see she looks different in every picture. Like she looks a lot of her photos look like to be extremely digital.
Mhm.
Some of them are really good. Some of them are really good, but they also, you can see that again with the templates, you can see that they have pulled a sprinkle of Marilyn Monroe from here and a
Mhm.
sprinkle, like you can see all of these famous facial features nestled within this perfect little angel face that was on the cover of People magazine over and over and over. And her modeling career, she had a plethora of imagery, and her modeling career was less than 1 year long. From age 5 till 6, and it wasn't even like a full year. She died when she was quote unquote 6 years old. But she's begun modeling less than a year, or pageantry less than a year prior. So she got all of these crowns, all of these sashes, all of these pictures, everything. She's like thousands of professional photos taken. Like I just don't think that. And like the costuming, the gowning, she was wearing all these Bob Mackie inspired gowns and costumings. I don't think that's like physically even time. And she was in school. This is during the school year. I just don't think any of this is really physically possible. The story is so farcical and fanciful, but we were never allowed to look that way. And all of the people connected to it, like even the successful business father who worked at Lockheed, had a company, very successful company called Access Graphics, acquired by Lockheed Martin. They trafficked in these high sophisticated rendering systems for like graphics renderings for like video games and cars. It's like it all goes together with like it all goes back together. It's like this is what they were doing, but I don't think that his company was real. I think it was just a front for this story. And I think it's kind of like if you actually look into it, you can figure out the truth. You can figure out that all of this is a shell, but we're like, it's like a prism, we're looking at the truth through like a prismed lens, and you can see both sides, but your mind gets like directed towards one side, towards one way of thinking. Mm-hmm. But it's like, that's the thing when I discovered when I kind of had that revelation with her, is I wasn't looking at any new information. I was looking at all the old information, the source information. Yeah. And seeing how they had like misdirected this whole time, it became very clear. It was like a magician's trick. I saw, now that I knew that it was a magic trick, I could see the magician having his left hand over here and his right hand behind his back. I could see these moves and maneuvers, and that's kind of what the thread is all about. I was like, I was kind of going into all of these different manipulations and what was being told to us through the actual news stories, and what that actually meant within, if this was a grander manipulation, what that could mean, and what that, what that could signify. I don't know. I think I'm still really proud of that thread. I loved that. That was like my that was my awakening public, that was like publicly shared awakening. And I could never do that again. Like it was just like really an organic experience. I could never like redo that same thread in that exact way, because it was happening like so in real time. So I don't know, it kind of feels like a different, like I'm going to read back at it and I'm like, damn, that was good. And then you did that. Damn. I'm lazy now. I'm kind of late. I'm admittedly kind of lazy now. I'm just like purple. That's just my whole tweet.
Oh my God. But there's so many purples. That's why. Yeah, I never heard about these stupid pageants until John Bonet happened. Like I literally didn't know about any of this
they
stuff.
Introduced us, and I think pageants are real. I think like people do participate in them, but her pageants are not.
I was a pageant.
You were? Oh my God.
Her mom made her wear a dress, and she was just like, I don't want to do this.
But
do you remember what the name of the pageant was? Because these are always so fun.
I can't even remember. I was
always like sunshine,
like 4, 5
stars, 6.
Yeah. I was John Bonet age, pretty much.
Oh my gosh! Template hashtag templates.
I know. Oh my God, I'm a template. No, but yeah, I thought the most interesting piece of evidence that you put in that thread was the coroner never got her body.
Oh yes, yes.
Yeah.
Nobody ever saw the body either. It was always covered in a white blanket. It was always covered in a sheet, like a ghost. Her father discovered, quote unquote, the body downstairs in the basement. Oh, and aside, John Bonet Ramsey anagrams to enjoy our basement.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
So the dad
fucked up.
finds the body after thinking she was kidnapped by ransom, but with the ransom note, whatever. This total farcical whole this whole, it's like a scene, it's like a play playing out. So there was like the ransom note. She was supposedly kidnapped. Then the dad finds her body in the basement, brings her up. She's covered in a white sheet. Nobody sees the body. Nobody asks to see the body. The parents just put her under the Christmas tree like a sacrifice. You know, they put her under the
Oh
Christmas
my
tree.
God.
She stays under the blanket. Nobody has seen the body. She's still under the blanket. And the police have no clue what to do because they've never seen a murder in their entire career. They're in Boulder, Colorado, the sleepiest town at that time.
Yeah.
Literally nothing, literally zero murders. Zero. Like this was the first. They just showed up. They were like Twin Peaks, like, you know, Elmer Fudd, like whistling a tune. They were just ill-equipped for what was about to be put upon them.
Wow.
And so they don't know to ask to see the body or whatever. So the morgue, the mortician shows up, whisks the body away. No investigator has seen the body, no policeman has seen the body, nobody has seen the body. But now it's gone. The body's in the morgue. Supposedly, there was never a body. Like the sheet is now at the morgue, supposedly.
Yeah.
But what's interesting is the logbook pages. This is 1996. There's no electronic records, supposedly. But you know, they say the logbook, there's no admittance records for John Benet Ramsey ever arriving at the morgue because those logbook pages were stolen. So that they don't have it. They just don't have them. It's not that she wasn't there. That's not what they're saying. You know, they're saying that she can't prove she wasn't there. They're basically saying she wasn't there, but they're hiding it behind this whole like ridiculous thing of like, oh, well, we can't prove it because those pages were stolen, you know, which I think connects so interestingly to today when Remington, the gun manufacturer that's being sued in the Sandy Hook court case,
Yes.
is asking for attendance records, enrollment records, what else? Grades. Like these don't exist. They simply don't exist.
Yeah.
And I think that this is about to come out. So I think it is. Could a gun manufacturer save us all? And I'm not joking.
I mean, guns are tools after all.
Yeah, something's gotta. Wow. I've been trying this ice pick on the Matrix. That's not working. I need a fucking gun. There you go.
We'll get you a purple AR.
There you go.
Yeah, double barrel. Yeah, I want to go like Rambo, a machete style. Or no, Rambo didn't have that. But who did a good machine gun? Who can I replicate?
Arnold Schwarzenegger in Predator.
Oh yeah. Okay, there you go.
Yeah.
There you go.
That's one of the best.
That's the best. Okay, maybe I'll have to do a templates with myself with Arnold. Figure out a way to do that.
It's so good.
That's funny.
Well,
do you want to
talk about music?
Yeah, because music is part of the. Well, you sent us your three.
And I see you've got a Fantagram shirt. I love Fantagram.
Oh, good.
Yes.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. I love Fantagram. Yeah. I'm so like, I love music so much. And I really hope a lot of these artists aren't part of the cathedral. But I know what you know, like you hear them on the radio and you're like, oh no, did they sell out? You know?
Yeah. Like, what'd they do to get there? Yeah.
Right? And then the whole like music frequency, the 440 hertz.
It's fascinating. I do think music has I mean, we all know this. You can listen to you can get yourself into a right state of depression by listening to the wrong song. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But anyways.
Yeah, we didn't get a chance to listen to all of them, but we listened to the first two. So I listened to your first choice, Aphex Twin. It's a song Avril 14th, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that means 14th of April for those who don't speak any French. Mm-hmm. But Aphex Twin's been around for like ever. I love their Window Liquor album cover. It's like one of the best album covers ever. But why did you choose this song in particular? I know why I like it, but why did you choose it?
You know, this is one of the songs that always ends up on those lists of songs that you listen to the most throughout the year. I have Spotify and it always kind of gives you that like 2016, 2017, 2018. And Aphex Twins, Avril 14 is always on that. And I find that I listen to it on repeat quite a bit. It's just such an emotionally uplifting but also deep song. It's like it's happy, but it's also aware of deep sadness at the same time. It like holds this beautiful balance between that, and it's instrumental completely. It's almost like a glockenspiel. Is that how it is? Glockenspiel,
I
or
think,
like chords being bounced.
yeah.
It's a different approach to musicality. But it's super simple. It's not overproduced at all. Aphex Twin can be sometimes pretty wild and loud, but this is like a really just simple, beautiful. It's a beautiful song, and I could listen to it on repeat all day long. It's just so pretty.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
listened to it. Once you sent the list, I was like, ooh, I got to listen to it. So I started listening.
It's a sweet
And
song.
It's
Yeah.
really good.
Yeah. You were like, wow, this is really great. So I
liked it.
put my heart on there because I was like, oh, I like that one. That one's going in my liked list. For your next one, I've never heard of this artist, The Avener. Is that how you say it?
The Avener.
The
Yeah,
Avener.
they're a French artist. Yeah.
The song is Fade Out Lines, but it's the Avener remix, right?
Mhm.
Yeah. So I listened to this one. I also really like this one. What made you choose this song?
This song, I'm not really into new music. I find myself I rarely let something catch my ear that's new and I get into it. So, and I rarely listen to the radio, but I've got this one radio station in Dallas called 91.7 KXT, and it's got like a really eclectic mix of music. And this is a song that I rarely listen to the radio, but it just happened to like start exactly as I pressed the thing, and I listened to the entire song in rapture. I couldn't figure out what the lyrics were saying. I wanted to so badly to figure out what the lyrics were, but it's English lyrics sung in a French by a French native speaker, and so they're not clear, if you know what I mean. Like when they're English words, but the emphasis is off, and sometimes they blend into one from the next. Like the syllabic melody is a little bit off to where you're like, what are they saying? Like, what is that? Yeah. And so that's a song that stuck, because when I don't know a song when it's new, I just try to remember as best I can one little bar of lyric, and then I can Google it later. But because usually when I'm driving, and so I'm like, okay, just catch on to one lyrical bar. You don't know the name of it. You don't know the name. You're not, it's like, how do you Google a song that you don't know anything about, you don't know the name of? And so I'd like, just listen to one tiny little bar of the song, but I couldn't get one phrase. And I was like, they're saying English stuff. What are they, I can't like, and I listened to I was like, what is this wording? But it's cool. It's a very cool song too. Like you put it on and you just feel like you want to like just walk it very powerfully into a room. So the thing that got me was my desire it was so good that I was desperate to see what it was, but I couldn't, because I couldn't get like one lyric, but I ended up getting like the fade out line. I think that's the only thing that I got of the whole, the name of the song. It happens to be the name of the song, but that's like the only lyric that I could suss out. And then I found it. And it's quickly became something that I listened to. I found it in 2020, and it quickly became something that I listened to often. So
for sure.
It's like something that you've earned because you had to push for it.
And the lyrics talk about, we're barreling towards this fade out line, where the lightness in the dark, where a straight line, it seems to be delinear. It would imagine it seems to be cut right through something, but if you zoom into that line, it'll become gray and eventually fade into white. That line will disappear altogether.
Yeah.
Fade out line. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I like the song. I was confused with the lyrics too.
I know you're like, what is this guy saying?
I was like, wait a minute, what's going on?
And they have like this female vocalist. That was the original. This is part of the remix, but they've got this another French female vocalist that's on there. She's got this really sultry voice, and they mix her vocalizations in. It's cool. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah. We don't really listen to the radio ever anymore. It's so hard. But there's like a KCRW type radio station here, and late night they'll play some decent unknown indie artists. So I would imagine this type of song we'd probably hear on that radio station.
But now we know what it is because she told us.
It's true. Yeah. You'll be like, I got the title, I don't need to listen to the lyrics, I'll look those up later.
Oh man, I didn't get a chance to listen to your last one, but I do know the artist Kid Koala. I know who that is, but I don't think I've heard Adrift.
So this is off one of my favorite albums to have on if I'm wanting to get into a creative mindset and mood. It's from the album called Music to Draw To. I think it's maybe Music to Draw to One. And there might be two albums of that, but it's the album that starts with The Observable. So if you are looking it up, it's the album that starts with The Observable Universe. And there's just a few it's mostly an instrumental album, and it's really good for like study or creative work or background music. It's atmospheric, ethereal, interesting, but not like interesting where it takes your mind away from what you're doing. It's really pleasant. But there's like a couple of songs that do have like a light vocalization. And this was one of the songs off the album that has like a vocalization within it. And I really like the lyrics. The idea of being adrift is kind of exactly what I see our society as right now. We are lost at sea. And it's just the word sea as well. Like we're blind, we can't see. Like we're drifting in out of sea. I don't know. There's something about being adrift that, and also the lyrics would then kind of talk about illusion and everything being like just a flicker, like a life in loop mode is one of the lyrics, and that's something that I talk about quite a bit. It's a beautiful song, and it's on a very beautiful album. And so I kind of wanted to pick three types of songs, like different experience of how I came to these songs, because they all have different like, because none of the other ones I don't listen to any other songs on the album of the other two. Those are like singular on their albums that I like. So I liked those songs by themselves, but this song really stands out because it's within a container within this album that I really love. This song within the contain is like the standout for me. So
for sure. I love it.
Yeah.
Appreciate you giving us your songs and talking about them. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Do you have any updates for Realize Radio?
Ooh, yes. So we're going to be recording. We did Realize Radio season 1 on all major platforms. If you haven't heard it, it's a fun to catch up. Episode 1, 2, and 3 are pretty rough. We were just figuring things out. So, but the 4 through 8 get pretty great. I think we finally got the system. I thought it turned out pretty good. I loved it. But we're going to be doing another season, another 8 episodes. We're going to start recording sometime soon. So we kind of really want it to tie in with September 11th. Something about that feels significant. Something about that feels significant. Everything about that feels significant. Everything feels significant. So we're really trying to like launch right around then for our season 2. In the meantime, we've recorded like a bunch of really cool episodes on our separate channel, which we're going to keep going. It's Patreon. We have a Realize Radio on Patreon, and we that's a little bit more like of a casual, a little bit more personal, because it is behind the Patreon. So Realize Radio is Realize Radio Public is information heavy. You don't really hear much about human vibration. You don't hear much about Rambo, but when we're on Patreon, we're a little bit more loose, and it's a little bit more about our story. And then of course, talking about celebrities and CGI and all that fun stuff. So purples,
the good stuff.
Yeah, season 2 coming at you soon. Yeah.
Awesome. We'll be looking out for that.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I started checking it. I started listening to your show. I don't know. I thought your early episodes are good too. I
did this whole intro where I was like, da 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 da, Realize Radio.
Yeah.
I was like trying to do ASMR. I don't know what I was trying to do.
It was like an NPR that I wanted to listen to. Yeah.
I was too, and I love NPR still. I hate listen to it because they're always talking about Fauci. They're always like talking about Lord Fauci, yeah. And he's always like being interviewed on there, and like everything they do is doomsday. It's annoying. But I do like to hear what's being said. I like to hear what the message is, what the approved and accepted message is, because that informs quite a bit of my experience about what's going on, like how I interact with people around me. Like I kind of want to know what everybody's thinking. Yeah. I know what I think. It's all fake. Things are real, but quite a bit of what we are told is real is not, and quite a bit of what we're told is important is not. So.
Yeah, exactly.
For sure. Yeah. So random question then, and feel free to not answer if you don't know or want to say your answer, but what color is your brain?
I think it's gray. And I think it turns pink when blood flows through it. Actually, I think it's probably purple, like gray matter. Is more like a purple.
Get out of here.
I know, because our bodies turn purple when we die. That's what they say. Yeah,
that's what they say. I've heard that before.
And also, our blood running through our veins is purple, and it only turns red when it gets oxidized, introduced into oxygenated air. Our gut intestine is like a gray, and it only turns pink when blood is running through it. Our brain is actually gray, only turns pink when our blood is running through it. Although I've never seen my brain. I don't know. I've never seen any brain. I think a lot of what we're taught about anatomy is we're taught a lot about how our bodies work. That's not true.
Yeah.
And just a ton. And what our bodies need, what our bodies don't need. A lot of it. Like, I think, here's a new one. I'm dropping this now. Okay. So you know how people are always like pharmaceutical, like seeing the harm in sort of pharma, and it's like pharma, people are doing that a lot. Well, I realized it's the pseudo part. It's pharmaceuticals. It's fake. Pseudo as in fake. I think everything about the pharmaceutical industry is designed to keep us from really understanding how our body works and how it should be optimized. Because every blood pressure medication, there's a natural alternative. There's a fix you can do in your life. Every depressive medication, some of these are actually just salt. Like lithium is literally salt.
Yeah.
The repackaged salt, but it's salt. It's like sometimes we are just, and also like, people with like a sinus infection, they'll go immediately get an antibiotic. You can actually clear a whole host of infections with garlic by ingesting raw garlic. I'm on a big kick with garlic right now. Whenever you feel a tickle, don't get a Z-Pak. Don't take Emergency. Don't do any of that. Smash some raw garlic, chop up that smashed garlic, take the skin off, but smash it, chop it, then chew it. And you want to chew it because then it gets released into your bloodstream through your mouth, through your saliva glands. It gets straight to your bloodstream, gets straight to work. You will feel relief instantly. It's insane. Wow. It's insane. That's garlic. It's so cheap. You can get like 1 million cloves for $1. It's like wild.
One clove. Smash up one clove.
Yeah, I usually take 1 or 2 in the morning if I feel something, and again in the afternoon. Like I'll just continue to. Your breath will stink. Your body will stink. You'll smell like garlic. Your farts will stink. Like everything is going to stink. You're going to smell horrific. But I would rather spend a couple of dollars and stink for a couple of days than go through the rigmarole of going to my general practitioner, or even doing a telehealth, whatever, but then going to get a pharmacy, going to get an antibiotic that may or may not do the trick. Like start with what's in your fridge. Start with what's at home. Start with a clove of garlic. If that, at the very worst, it can mitigate your symptoms for a bit till you can go to your precious doctor and get your prescription. Like, but I have found that it's not just like an at-home remedy cure, but it's an effective and efficient treatment. Even I know people that were reaching out to me saying that they have cleared strep throat, which is something that sometimes is very severe, and you have to get all sorts of medication, regimens to clear a strep throat. And it can be very painful, but some people have said like just garlic and parsley, and oregano oil. And these things can they're powerful antibiotics, powerful antifungals, antibiotics, antiviral. I don't really believe in what they tell us is like viral load and virus situations, but I do believe that certain things happen within our body. Our immune system can be compromised in certain ways. And I think that there are certain natural elements that can really help get our immune system like going again and like really work with us instead of like masking it, which a lot of these pharmaceuticals do. So I think the pharmaceutical industry is not so much out to get us harming us. I think it's out to get our minds. And vaccines, the big debate is whether or not vaccines are good or bad. I live in the neutral. I live in the neutral zone. I think that they're meant to be either good or bad, but I don't think vaccines have ever been real. I think they've I think it's always been medical theater. I used to believe bigly in vaccine harm in the VAERS court systems and the secretive. And I believe that, like, why would it be secretive if they weren't doing massive amounts of wrong? Now I'm like, y'all, it's secretive. So we can't see shit. It's nothing going on. They can VAERS is self-reported 100%.
Yeah.
Anybody could bots could be reporting that all day long. Bots could be reporting those numbers. We'll never know. I think it's manipulated in every way, shape or form. It's manipulated. And
Yeah.
I don't think there are the diseases they tell us. I don't think there ever really was polio. So the vaccine for polio is not necessary ever, then now and ever. I think there isn't a novel SARS-CoV-2. I don't think that truly exists in the way that's like deadly global pandemic ravaging the entire world. I don't think that this invisible virus is what I think. It's just our bodies. Our immune system is being compromised. They lock us up and then we get sick. Like what? We get starved of human connection. We get starved of sunlight, and then we get sick. What?
Yeah.
I didn't get sick, and nobody really around me got sick, but still, they say people were dying, dropping dead here and there.
Yeah.
But something's not
thing.
right. Something's not right. Even if you believe everything, like the things just don't add up. So I don't know.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's our environment plays a big role in what makes us sick, in our diet and all the EMFs coming at us.
It's a terrain theory.
Everywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of frequencies. EMFs is basically a frequency that's being, being projected onto us.
Yeah.
And I think sonic, there can, that can be like a sonic wave. That's a flow frequency that we don't hear. That's still disruptive to our systems.
Sure.
All sorts of manipulations, I think, could be going on.
Yeah. If I think about it, I go crazy. So I just try
a
a little bit at a time.
I do like to stay in the side, though. I do like to default to the idea that nobody's ever getting harmed, nobody's ever dying, especially with these hoaxes and stuff. Like, nobody got hurt, nobody died. That's it's kind of hard to really go there. But I talk about that. Maybe one day I'll come back on to talk just about that or something. But
for sure.
that can get a little heavy. That can get a little heavy. So
I like to get heavy.
All about that. Well, can you leave our listeners with a white pill?
Oh, I love that. I love that. My advice, my white pill advice would be, we are all one decision away from an entirely different life, good or bad. And we all know what that is. It's that thing. It's that thing that you give all your consternation to, or all your hopes and dreams to. If I could just do this, then everything would be all right. Or if I could just get rid of this, then everything would be all right. There's always kind of this linchpin. I would say address that, whether it's doing it or letting it go. And you will feel so unburdened. Your life will change and you will feel so unburdened. Even, sometimes we carry around things that are unimaginably undoable, but we still have hopes that we're going to do it. And it makes our life miserable that we're not doing it. People that, live through their children because they did stage moms or whatever, and I think that it's kind of getting into a weird example, but I would say if you have something in your life that is really bothering you and you think about it a lot, I would say start doing little things or whatever you can to address it, hacking away at it little by little, instead of just thinking about it all the time. Make meaningful measures. And sometimes that meaningful measure is completely slicing it off your radar.
Yeah.
Letting it go. Just letting it letting it go. That's not really what, but I feel like that got kind of dark. If I have other one, laughter really is the best medicine. Laughter is super, it really is. It will make you feel, there's a levity to all this nonsense. There's a lightheartedness to all this ridiculousness. I think I said at the top, this is kind of like a comedy. I feel like sometimes I'm watching a comedy when I have CNN on and they're just going full tilt with this fear mongering, makes me kind of laugh. I see it like a clown show. So I would say maybe try to find, if you really find yourself swirling with this energetic response of fear and anxiety based on some input that is outside of your, if there's a tornado in front of you, I'd get a little hot, but if it's something on the news or something on your screen or on the phone or whatever, don't let yourself get swirled by that. Just turn it off. Turn off the phone. Don't think about it one more time. We really do have to protect our energy. Yes. I like to say, protect your loosh your psychic physical energy, that swirling, whirling energy within our body that we can feel, that palpable response, that adrenaline seize within our body, that makes our heart seize up. We all know those feelings. Don't let yourself go there. Like, protect yourself from those overwhelming onslaughts of that toxic stress response, fear response. Do everything you can to mitigate if you find yourself getting stressed out every time you look at NewYorkTimes.com or CNN, don't even do it.
Yeah.
And I like to say, they're like, well, I need my information. I like to say, if you need to know, you'll know.
Yeah.
You will.
Yeah.
You will. About anything. If you need to know, you will.
Yeah. The universe.
It'll find you.
The universe will present it to you.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
We used to communicate flawlessly in 1990.
Yeah.
Right.
Before the internet. You didn't need to, you left a message. You sent a letter, whatever. We were never like, I need to hear back from them now. Oh my God, I haven't heard back from Scott in 2 hours. Is he okay?
Yeah.
It's like we would have never, ever had this response to like lack of communication or like inability to communicate that frequently. But we still knew at anything that ever happened, we knew about, like, just got to us. Like you said, the universe delivers. Yeah.
Yeah.
100%.
Such an interesting point. I do
turn off the news.
I miss landlines. I really do.
I kind of do too.
And
oh
no
my
cell phone.
God.
No cell phone.
Middle school landline, have your girlfriends over, dial a bunch of boys' numbers. Go through the phone book. Remember the phone book?
Oh my God.
Ooh, what's Tanner's number? Let's look. What's his last name? I don't even know.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
You just dial every like Hoffman and the.
Yeah, exactly.
You're like, oh, that's not the one.
That's
Shoot.
not the one. Or then you go like toilet paper someone's house.
Yeah.
Those are the days.
Oh,
You
man,
kids
that's
even
so
do that.
fun.
You can't do that because toilet paper is so rare. It's like
It's
socially
gold.
irresponsible. Imagine if someone toilet papered someone's house in 2020. Imagine like the
Oh my God.
the
my
cancel culture that would have gone after them.
They'd probably come out of their house and just try to collect it.
Yeah, they'd be like,
That's
this is
true.
expensive.
I'm keeping this. Oh, thanks. Keep it coming. Yeah. You can just throw me the roll. Yeah.
Exactly. Oh man. We appreciate you so much.
Yeah.
And the
Just
laughter
and the
and
observation.
the energy, the observations you
And,
bring,
yeah.
all the heat you get for the threads that you put out. No, it's
I like
awesome.
it. The heat keeps my flame a-flaming.
Yes. Good. Tell our listeners where they can find you. I know we mentioned Realize Radio
Yes.
on Patreon, but I know you're on Twitter. Where else?
Yeah. So Twitter is basically where I do the majority of my stuff. I'm starting to do more on Instagram. I kind of have like a different Instagram persona because you can share stories and stuff. And so like, I feel like there's just like a different way to communicate on Instagram than Twitter, but I would say Twitter is where all the real work goes into. A lot of my real threads that really pull together, like my significant work and writing has been on Twitter. And then Instagram is kind of like a repository, like I'll take some of the big things that I've done on Twitter and put it on my Insta. So it's definitely a byproduct. But at Human Vibration, and then that's at Twitter. And then on Instagram, it's at Human Vibration _Insta. And that's really, and then I'm on a bunch of podcasts. So if you have like any podcasts, you can search Apple Podcasts or whatever, or Spotify for just Human Vibration. And I would put it in quotes, Human Vibration in quotes, because then all my episodes will pop up when I'm a guest.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you guys. This was so great.
We're gonna
Buffalo leg, legs or leg? Yeah, legs. Not just one leg. Yeah. Leg. Legs.
Yeah, we're gonna have you back, and
for sure.
Yeah, we'd love to talk to you again. It's
Oh
been
yeah,
fun.
Of course, that'd be awesome. I would appreciate that. Yeah, we'll see what happens. I'm really looking what's going to happen around the corner with September 11th. That's going to be really interesting. But once the dust settles, maybe in a couple of seasons, we'll or churns of the radar, we'll connect and see what's going on in the world then. So sounds great. Thank you guys both.
Thank you. You enjoy the rest of your night.
Thank you for listening to the False Reality Check podcast. I'm Buffalo Rambler.
And I am Legs.
And you can find all our work on falserealitycheck.com, and for all our social media connections, Twitter and Instagram at FRC Pod, Float and Gab at False Reality Check. We're also on YouTube and we have a Telegram channel and group. We're starting a locals community, falserealitycheck.locals.com, and you can reach us at frcpodcast@protonmail.com.
Also, you can listen to us on all streaming platforms for the most part: Spotify, Apple, Google. Our RSS feed is on our website, so please go falserealitycheck.com.
And you can support us also at falserealitycheck.com/support. You can create a recurring donation or one-time donation on PayPal, Cash App, and we do accept crypto. Our wallets are located there. So thank you for listening, and we look forward to making more content for you.
Appreciate you all. Thank you for listening.
We love you.
Love you.